gentlemen, boys and girls, and my beautiful donuts and munchkins, welcome back to another episode of Eat the Donut. I have a very, very special guest today who I'm super excited to talk about. He is super friggin' jacked. He's a savage and probably one of the nicest humans I've ever talked to on this planet. But Luke Madsen, what's going on, man?
Jeez, dude, that was special. That
Yeah.
made that
Dude, you're
sent tingles
special.
down my body.
Yeah, you're special, man. A
I got
special
I got to
person needs
up.
a special intro.
Yeah, I mean, I just had you on mine, and my oh, that was special, man. I just do the same thing every time, and I'm super boring. So
Yeah.
you're inspiring me right now, Kevin,
Yeah.
to up the ante a little bit, dude. And that was awesome.
So it's so funny. So obviously for people listening, and I'm sure Luke, you've noticed this from my content and just my logo or whatever. Obviously, donuts is like the theme. It's like a little
Love it.
funny niche to add to
Love
a
it.
a fat loss coach brand. But we just bought for our kitchen. We've been in this apartment for probably 6 months now, ish, 7 months now,
Uh-huh.
and we're trying to decorate it a little bit more. Like the walls have been kind of plain. So we need something in the kitchen. And of course, we get these two huge donut posters and frame them and everything. They look great. One of them's like palm trees with a donut on them. This is like the perfect San Diego having donut vibe.
That's
But
awesome.
part of me is do I need to start chilling on this whole donut thing? It's like my logo. We have it hung up in the house. My podcast is called Eat the Donut, but I think I'm just gonna run for it because I feel like that individual who, maybe the kid who like loves Hello Kitty and just has Hello Kitty everything. I'm like, do I have too much donuts going on?
Dude, no way, no way, no chance. I mean, I've expressed to you in conversations before, like donuts is one of our favorites too,
Yep.
and I'm super jealous that you have made that part of your brand, dude,
Yeah.
because I'm obsessed with it. Me and my boys. Sometimes my wife, she usually goes and does a workout like a healthy person, and me and my
Yeah.
boys all go to the grocery store and get donuts every Saturday. So it's part of our life too, man, and I love that you've incorporated that. Like I think it makes you feel super relatable. So
Yeah.
it's awesome.
For sure. For sure. Well, cool, man. Well, thank you so much for hopping on here. I really appreciate you,
Absolutely.
and I'm really excited for this conversation. So to start things off, just tell us a little bit about who you are.
Yeah, wow. So it's always kind of an interesting question.
You
I'll
can,
be honest. I'll be totally honest and genuine with you, dude.
yep.
The first thoughts that come to my head is like, first and foremost, I'm a child of God. I'm a believer of Jesus Christ, and
Mm-hmm.
that's honestly the biggest priority in my life, and I'm so grateful for the the guidance and direction that living through faith can provide a person, and I feel like it's so applicable to so many different well, every aspect of life. I would argue, you can apply it to every aspect of life. But so first and foremost, that's what I think of when people always when they ask me to describe who I am. That's the first thought
Yeah.
that comes to my head. And then not a distant second from that is I'm a husband. I'm a dad to an amazing woman, Morgan, and three little boys who, man, kids will change your life, and
Yeah.
and my kids have definitely done that for me. It's funny, like every stage of life, going from obviously being single to being married, like that's a huge transition, and a lot of change comes with that, both good and challenging. And the same thing happens all over again, dude, when you have kids.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, 4 years ago when we had our little boy, it it was one of the most amazing experiences, and um, it's like everything that me and my wife do, we do together, but we do it for them.
Yeah.
And so that's those three things, man, I think is what I would define myself by. First and foremost is, a follower of Christ, a husband, and a father.
Beautiful.
And then right behind that, man, I love fitness.
Yeah.
Um, I love it so much. It's been a 13-year journey now for me. And I don't know, maybe I would say probably even longer than that, because 13 years puts me like just out of high school, and kind of like getting into the
Hmm.
college scene and stuff, and kind of doing it on my own.
Sure.
But I mean, as a freshman in high school, I've referred to my high school football coach, Coach Marlowe, as like the person that just
Yeah.
instilled, this love for fitness within me. And um, in particularly squats.
Love
Squats are
that.
like my all-time favorite lift, and it's largely because I mean, just like a little story real quick. I remember going into the gym one day when he was pretty new to the school, and I was doing curls, right? I mean, because
Yeah.
that's what every high school boy is, like,
Of
just go
course.
straight to the dumbbells and do curls. And he comes up to me and goes, "How do you expect to get big if you start with curls?" And
Yeah.
I was like, "All right." He's like, "Go squat."
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
I walked over to the squat rack and honestly, man, like from that point on, like squats have been in my program like ever since then. I
Hell
love
yeah.
it. I feel like obviously building lower body strength, but also I think squats are a phenomenal full body exercise.
For
It's definitely a
sure.
compound exercise. So love for fitness started, at that point in my life, and it's just been something that has been, and I don't know, it's been so easy for me because I love it so much. There are very few times over the last, 13 to 15 years where I think that it was tough for me to get to the gym. And those moments didn't last very long. It's been a passion of mine. And I
Yeah.
feel really fortunate for that because I know that that's not the case, for
Hmm.
a lot of people.
Hmm.
Um, but that's the other reason why I love doing what I do, as a coach and as a trainer. Like I love helping people benefit from the things that I have benefited so much from in my life.
Yeah.
And fitness is definitely, one of those things. Um, so yeah, I mean, outside of that, I mean, just some other basic things. I love donuts. I already told you that. I
Yeah.
love
Yeah. I
pizza.
wouldn't have you on this podcast if you didn't love donuts.
It's pizza and pizza with a little bit of root beer, man. Like those
Cool.
are those are some of my favorite foods and weaknesses, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't call it a weakness.
I get what you're saying though.
I like them. I like
Yeah.
them, and I don't feel guilty anytime
I
I eat
get what
them.
you
So
mean. It's even funny saying like weakness because I think we try to as coaches watch the way we say things,
yeah,
but
exactly.
I think sometimes it could be taken too far to that where it's like,
Yeah.
oh, this food's healthy. It's like, oh, well, you shouldn't call food healthy or unhealthy. It's like, okay, like you know what I fucking mean. Like relax. But dude, that was probably one of the best intros of someone saying who they are. And not only like obviously you're right away, I can tell you're very well spoken, but how authentic you were. And it's just being so open and honest, being like, hey, I am a man of Christ, I am religious, and then kind of getting into the next thing where obviously, being a father, being a husband, then get into fitness, but just being so open about that. Because I don't know about you, but I think sometimes, talking about faith, talking about religion, talking about these certain things can be sensitive. Like, oh, why are you bringing this on to your platform, this and that? It's like, hey, again, relax. Like it's just who I am. It's what
Yeah.
I believe in. It's what I do. It's like I don't. You do you, right? Like I don't care.
Yeah.
It's not one of those things where I'm trying to push this on you. But like I think sometimes it gets um, almost people get timid to do it,
Hmm.
and I just love like full throttle there. And I
Thank you.
wasn't even planning to talk about this, and I obviously like again I want to talk about all the fitness stuff and whatnot. But that's been a journey I recently been on.
Cool.
Is like trying to figure out like growing up, Catholic, CCD, all that stuff. And then I think pretty much once what's it called? Like confirmation happened, just kind of selfishly started doing my own thing and not going and not really like ever caring. But like recently, it's funny where we were just talking a little bit before this, but when I was at a corporate gym, just
Yeah.
working part time, just
Hmm.
for some, help them financially and whatnot. As we, the grind of growing a business and everything.
Absolutely.
But it was just not aligning with the way I like to go about my coaching and whether it's getting clients, helping people out, because very much the corporate gym, as I think a lot of people are familiar with, are sell, 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 make more money. Who gives a shit about changing lives? We just want to make more money. That's kind of
Yeah.
all this vibe I got.
Yeah.
So for me, it was just burning me out. And remember having a conversation with my wife where, I'm just starting to feel the energy that's being burnt out here is now taken away from my online clients for my online business, and this is doing the opposite, right? This is supposed to support me while I'm also still, putting my full energy into to them in the business and everything. So we had a good conversation. I was like, hey, I'm gonna basically talking about like taking a step away from this and spending that more time and energy into the business. And my wife's very big on like manifestation.
Hmm. I
Like
love
things
that.
will happen for a reason,
Yep.
right? You meet people for a reason, whether you get along or don't get along, but there's always lessons to be learned from it and help you grow. And so for me, for a while, I was just like, oh yeah, like sure, like if I believe in getting a Ferrari, yeah, I'll get a Ferrari, sure. But like I know, like I still have to put in the work and all that stuff.
Exactly. Yeah.
But then I had that moment where I left, and then all of a sudden, 5 clients came on. I'm like, oh shit, like that's crazy. I was so nervous because I was like, all right, now we gotta get some marketing out there, see how we can get build up the roster a little bit. And then all of a sudden, it was just like what I say is like God said, hey, that was a good decision.
Yeah.
Here you go. You're gonna be okay. And
100%,
and
man.
that was sort of that feeling like, wow, that was incredible. And that's where I really was committed. Like this whole manifestation, believe in a higher power type of
Yeah.
idea, um, can really be wonderful for your health, I think. I think it helps for me as far as not getting caught up in like this scarcity victim mentality, where
Yeah.
when bad things happen, it's not poor me, poor me. It's like, all right, what am I learning here? What do I need to grow? Where do I need to be better? It kind of shifts you back into that growth mindset, right?
Yeah.
And so for the past probably year and then some now, I've been like dabbling around, going to different churches and whatnot, and seeing which one I kind of click with. And it's funny because there's this one church here in San Diego. It's called The Rock. Have you ever heard of The Rock? Do
I haven't.
you follow football at all?
Well, like The Rock, like the person.
Not The Rock. The church is called The Rock.
Oh, okay.
It's
I was
not
like,
Dwayne Johnson.
then you mentioned football, and I was like, Dwayne Johnson.
But there's
I
this,
do follow football a little.
yeah. So the San Diego Chargers had this player. His name's
Okay.
Miles McPherson. But he created this church,
Okay.
and it's dude, it's crazy. You go there, it's like a production concert to start. Like it's a huge stage, it's a huge auditorium. It looks literally like a concert venue. Must hold, 1,000 to 2,000 people or something. But the first couple times I went there, it's almost like again, every time he was telling a story, giving us a lesson, teaching us, it was what I needed to hear in that moment. I was
That's
like,
awesome.
this is what I'm struggling with this week.
That's
And you're
awesome.
talking about this is crazy. So, anyways, I don't mean to take over there, but
No,
it's
that
pretty cool in my opinion. And it's been sort of this fun adventure as far as like believing in this higher power and seeing what's going to stick for me, what's going to be like, my go-to for it.
dude, I love that so much, and I appreciate you sharing it too because, um, yeah, dude, I think that this one thing, I love bonding and connecting with people,
Hmm. Yeah.
over this one thing, of having a belief and a faith in a God and a Savior who loves us and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so I appreciate you sharing that. I think it's awesome, that you very somewhat recently, right? Like how long
Yeah.
ago did you leave the commercial gym?
Maybe 2 years ago at this point,
Okay, so yeah,
year and a half
pretty
ago.
pretty recently. I think it's cool that you kind of gone down this route and are kind of exploring this a
Mm,
little bit more because I agree, man, 100%. Like I think that everything does happen for a reason, and I think it's really easy to get caught up in that victim mentality of like, why
hmm.
did this happen to me? But again, just to reiterate what you said, I do believe everything happens for a reason,
Sure.
and I feel super super fortunate to have. Been raised in a family that is just such firm believers of
Hmm.
Christ, and I don't you might be familiar with it. I go to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Okay.
Most people know us as Mormons.
Okay.
So
Gotcha.
I'm one of those guys, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, first and foremost, like it's in the name of the church, right? Like Jesus
Sure.
Christ is who we follow and who we worship. Um, and I'm so grateful to again just have been born into that and have had that stick in my life because it
Hmm.
doesn't sometimes.
Hmm.
And I think that it is important that each person does gain their own testimony and
Hmm.
belief and faith. But again, I think just growing up in the circumstances and situation I did, it made it so much easier for me
Sure.
to be able to do that. I mean, I've had experiences in my life that, forced and kind of pushed me to grow in my faith as well.
Hmm.
Um, One of those is, again, I'm not sure if you're familiar with members of the church or Mormons, but
Hmm.
at 18 years old now, most of the boys in the church will go and serve a mission, and
Okay.
then girls have the opportunity to do that as well
Hmm.
at 19 years old.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know why the age differences and stuff, but anyways, I was super fortunate to be able to go and be called by a prophet of God to serve in the Micronesia Guam mission.
Okay.
So South Pacific Islands.
Yep.
I lived on a little tiny island called Kostrei for a year and a half. I was just like embedded in their culture. I learned their language, and honestly, dude, like it was all. I'm sorry. I'm like it was all based on um, helping people come to Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
And that experience was like none other that I know I will ever have in my life. It
Sure.
was 2 years strictly dedicated to serving the Lord and to bringing others to Christ.
Yeah.
And I reflect on that every single day of my life.
Sure.
And was definitely one of those pivotal moments where it took, the faith of me piggybacking off of my parents to like me actually building my own faith and having my own
Sure.
testimony. Um, and again, it's been so integral into every part of my life. I mean, coming home from that mission,
Hmm.
went and played baseball, and got married to an amazing woman, and
Hmm.
have had kids, and it's just like the whole focus though around all of that is God and
Yeah.
Jesus, and like
Yeah.
how do we come closer to Him, and as we do that, like I know the times that I'm closest to Him are the times that I'm being blessed the most.
Yep.
And it's not always in like blessings like how you would think of them, but also
Sure.
in like challenges and
Yeah,
struggles and trials and
exactly.
stuff. But again, man, I that's a topic, like you said, I mean, we probably didn't necessarily think we would talk about today, but
No, I'm glad we
one
did.
yeah, one that
Yeah.
I could talk about for
Yeah.
hours and
Well,
hours.
and
So
and I'll say this to sort of close it on out, but what gets me emotional is seeing someone so passionate and they're so emotional. So like I could see and feel you, like how touching that was when you did that mission
mhm,
and how it really has touched you. And it
yeah,
is something that is such an ingrained thing into you. And how much it has changed you for the better. And it
yeah,
was a big life moment, let's call it, that it sounds like that was the moment where you started to have this shift of your own independency with it, your
yeah,
own, I don't want to say style, I don't know the right way to say it, but the word independence comes with it. And it seems like you're just so grateful for that. And
yeah.
it's just beautiful just to hear you talk about it and the authentic, you being so authentic with it. And again, just the passion and emotion behind it. You can tell you care a lot about it. And I just think that's awesome.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, it was an awesome opportunity.
Hmm.
Yeah, not to keep going, but like I will fully acknowledge and admit to any person that ever asked me, like my childhood was easy, man. Like
Hmm.
I had a really, really cushy upbringing.
Sure.
Not because we were super loaded with a lot of money,
Yeah.
but I grew up in a little farm town with loving parents, with five older siblings who all were quite a bit older. My mom and dad would never admit this, but I was the mistake. I wasn't supposed to be here, but
Sure.
I am here, and they provided for me well.
Hmm.
And so right out of high school, I went to basic training first and joined the army, and then right
Hmm.
after that, I got home and I went and served my mission,
Hmm.
and my eyes were opened pretty quick, man, to what the
Yeah,
world is like,
for
and
sure.
really, what's going on in the world, and so, anyways, yeah, I'm so grateful again
Yeah.
for all of that and how it's affected and changed my life for the better.
Love it, dude. I love it. I feel just talking with you about this is just, I think this is huge for just relationships in general, but when
Yeah,
someone is so open and authentic and vulnerable like you've been, it makes me want to like hug you and just be best friends with you. It just I can feel the connection between us, at least on my side of it, is just
uh,
grown stronger because of that. And
for
dude, just
sure.
thank you for that. I really
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Well, we'll get out
But
to San Diego, man, and
yeah,
we'll yeah,
we'll rip
build the
it up.
relationship even more.
Yeah, I love that. Right next door. Cool, man. Well, let's get back into bicep curls and
Yeah,
squats and all
yeah.
that. But so yeah, so I know you were talking about it was about like 13 years ago. I think you were talking about sort of getting into the gym and what was it, Coach Marvelo?
Coach Marlowe, yeah.
Coach Marlowe. So
Yep.
talk to me a little bit more about how your own fitness and health journey began.
Yeah, so I mean, it began, like I said, I don't know if I mentioned actually if he was like he is the high school football coach.
Sure.
My sophomore year of high school, he came to Preston, where I'm from,
Mm-hmm.
and he kind of turned the program around a little bit in the sense like the approach that was being taken, especially in the weight room. Up to that point, I mean, I had my freshman year with the head coach that was there, and it was pretty unorganized and just
Mm-hmm.
not a lot of direction there, you know. I think like the main machine he had us using was like the neck machine, strengthening
Yeah.
neck muscle.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I can appreciate that for football, right? But at the same time, when Coach Marlowe came, it just opened my eyes to what weight training should be. Heavy lifting, a lot of effort. And I mean, honestly, dude, I don't know if I ever broke a sweat in the weight room the
Sure.
year before. And like he came that next summer and it was like a night and day difference, dude.
Yeah.
And again, definitely there was some evolving that took place for me, but from the beginning I was just like, holy cow. And dude, he's a massive human. He's a big guy who's
Sure.
strong. And I mean, he would do his workouts kind of after everybody else, but we would all
Sure.
see it.
Yeah.
And I mean, he would be repping,
Yeah.
weights on the bench that we're all just like, holy cow. And
Yeah.
it was just like that motivation,
Yeah.
to like that's where I want to get to. That's what
Hmm.
I want to be, when I'm his age.
Yeah.
And so from that point, man, it was not even like a hard choice for me to want
Hmm.
to hit the weight room hard. And again, it was like squats at least once a week, if not twice a week, and bench pressing and hang cleans and power cleans and all of that stuff was really critical in just like my development and understanding of fitness in general.
Hmm.
I didn't do a lot of research on my own. It was just like I just did it,
You just
and
went.
he
Yeah.
kind of coached us and
Yeah.
helped with form and whatnot. But that was where it all started for me, man. And when I got home from that mission that I was telling you about, like I went and played college baseball at a junior
Hmm.
college in Eastern Utah, and that was the first time where I was like, okay, because it's unfortunate, man. I know you played baseball.
Hmm.
I would be curious to kind of hear what your experience there was like,
Sure.
but like at a junior college, man, the coach isn't getting paid enough to really
Sure.
care. Like he cares about baseball, but as
Yeah.
far as like building a program and like building athletes, like strength training and stuff, that's just extra time that he's not getting paid for.
Yeah.
And so it was really like pretty early on. I was like, if this is gonna happen, it's gonna be because I want it to happen
Yeah.
because I'm the one putting in the effort. Um, and and it happened.
Yeah.
And I just hit the ground running from the time that I got home from my mission. And since then, dude, I mean, there's been different, focuses
Yeah.
at different stages. I mean, at that point, I was still really focused on like explosiveness, and
Yeah.
that type of stuff as being an athlete. And then
Hmm.
as I transferred schools from the JUCO that I was at, wasn't playing baseball anymore, went to Utah State University,
Hmm.
and and we kind of talked about this when you were on my show, but it was like, dude, I don't know why I went to school, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Like, I don't feel like I benefited a ton from it,
Sure.
other than the weight room. Like
Sure.
that was a time in my life where I really experimented a lot with different training styles because from high school, I
Yeah.
kind of carried that over into my college years because I was
Hmm.
still an athlete.
Hmm.
And then after I got done playing baseball, I was like, I'm gonna get as freaking big as I
Yeah.
can.
Sure.
And it was like I just ate whatever food I could get my hands on and
Yeah.
I lifted as much weight as I possibly could.
Yeah.
And I mean, I would dare argue that that was probably one of the most well, one of the biggest progressions I saw in like my
Yeah.
physical development.
Sure.
And it's funny because the things that I learned were through
Hmm.
trial and error
Hmm.
and, a little bit of YouTube here and there. Like I
Yeah.
feel like at that point, YouTube wasn't what it is now still.
Yeah.
But it was there and I was
Yeah.
able to use that a little bit.
Mhm.
But yeah, man, I'm sorry. I honestly don't
No,
even remember what question you asked, and
no,
I'm
you're
just like
good.
talking now.
That happens to me all the time.
So yeah, anyways,
Yeah.
it's been from that high school experience. I think that's what you asked is like
Yeah.
kind of where it started and how I got
Sure.
into it and stuff. But
Mhm. Mhm.
that's kind of where it went. And then from there, I mean, it's been, I've dabbled in different things like powerlifting.
Yep.
I've done well, I almost did a bodybuilding show.
Yeah.
I, uh, I prepped all the way for a bodybuilding show. The week of my show, um, COVID, man, hit and
Oh,
shut everything
that's
down. And
tough.
I was so bummed. I was
That
so
is.
bummed. But
Yeah.
still went through the whole process.
Yeah.
So still feel pretty good about that. And then
Cool.
powerlifting and now, dude, it's just health. Like
Yeah.
I do have a goal still to build muscle and I
Yeah.
still want to like I don't know. I look at my little boys and I'm like, I want them to look at me as it's funny because I was listening to Jordan and Mike
Yeah.
talk the other day
Yeah.
about this specific thing, but it's like I almost want to appear as like a superhero to my
Yeah.
boys. Like
For
I want
sure.
them to see me and be like, that's my freaking dad right there.
Yeah.
No matter, I mean, they're 4 and 2 now, but I'm like 20 years from now when I'm mid 50s, like I want to
Hmm.
still be that person.
Yeah.
Like I want to
Yeah.
still be the dad who can, you know, obviously looks healthy, is really jacked, but
Yeah.
also like can do a backflip still
Yeah.
and can sprint, and can race
Yeah.
his kids and can
Yeah.
play with his kids. Like, and then at some point, grandkids, right? Like,
Yeah.
anyways,
For sure.
I'm just rambling now, dude, but that's
Dude,
where
you're
I've
good.
been. That's where I'm
Yeah.
at. And that's kind of where I want to be in the future.
And just a side note, like when I ask a question, I don't care where it goes. It's just like to start a topic of conversation.
Cool.
Dude, such incredible insight there. Just to go back to like where it started, it is funny how for probably most of us, right, is we start this journey and we just have so many different phases of what it looks like.
Yeah.
Obviously, I didn't start till summer of going into college, but when we talked on your podcast, I was telling you that I basically one rep maxed every single week of every single lift for 3 years. And it worked, It's like I would do a lot of volume and then I do one rep max and see
That
where I was
beginner
at.
phase, man. That
Yeah.
beginner phase is nice.
Because it obviously increases time week over week, month over month type
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah.
Until eventually, you get more into it. You're like, all right, this probably isn't the best way to approach it, or let's try something different. Let's try this
Yeah.
style because there's more than one way to skin a cat.
Hmm.
But that's sort of how you learn too. And obviously, in a sense, yes, we have a good passion for this. It's really impacting our life in such incredible ways. We're obviously open to trying all these different things and make all these mistakes. Where obviously the people we take on typically we're telling them, hey, yeah, I did that. That's why. I believe this doesn't work. Or
Yeah.
this is where I effed up my shoulder doing this. So, this just be careful with it, whatever it may be.
Exactly.
But, dude, incredible stuff. Absolutely
Thank
incredible
you.
stuff. Now, over the last, let's say, couple years,
Hmm.
or throughout the years, let's go with this, just from a coaching perspective, is there anything in your coaching philosophy that has changed where maybe you felt like it could either be better or what you were preaching before was maybe not fully correct or was wrong even?
Yeah. No, that's a great question because I mean, I'll be totally honest. I feel like I do have like a pretty good direction now as far as like
Hmm.
my coaching goes and stuff. But this is a conversation I actually just had with my clients. I do a monthly group call with all of my clients all together, and we just talk about successes that people are having, struggles that people are having, and openly just kind of share ideas and stuff that other people have had that they work through that way. And at the end, I usually bring like a little bit of an educational bit that I like to just kind of increase their knowledge on
Yeah.
the world of fitness or nutrition.
Hmm.
Um, but this week, it wasn't even so much an education point. It was more so just like a mindset
Yeah.
shift.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I would say earlier on, Even before I was coaching, I was more so that person that was just like, suck it up,
Yeah.
work hard. Like, I mean, I still believe that anybody can get healthy, right? Like,
Yep.
I do believe that still,
Yep.
but it was just like, it was more so just like hardcore, like David Goggins type stuff, like
Yeah.
push through the pain. You're in your own head, like just do it more
Yeah.
so. Versus now, the conversation I had with my clients is like, how do we take the good principles from that, like the
Hmm.
discipline, the hard
Yeah.
work, the consistency, and then also over here on the other side of the spectrum have like patience
Hmm.
and a little bit of grace for ourselves and a little
Sure.
bit of understanding, and how do we like blend those two things together. And we had, like I said, some really awesome conversation um, about how different individuals in my client roster have done that.
Hmm.
Um, and one in particular person uh kind of shared their thoughts on it, where initially when I first met with him, I could tell like he was that person who was going to come in and he was going to just like go all in, and he was going to
Hmm.
burn himself out in a
Yeah.
matter of months, and he was going to just end up right back where he was.
Hmm.
um and from the beginning, like I've had these conversations with him of like, hey, look, we got to be like sustainable with this. We
Yeah.
got to make sure the things we're doing are going to last, a long time, like for the rest of your life, really. And it was funny because I feel like he like let like his guard down a little bit. I feel like he
Yeah.
was putting up a facade almost to me, that he
Yeah.
was like, I'm gonna kill this process. We're gonna like get in. We're gonna lose all this weight. We're gonna
Yeah.
just like dominate this whole thing. And I'm like, bro, chill just a
Yeah.
little
Take a
bit.
breath.
And that's kind of, I think that's kind of the shift that I've had.
Yeah.
Kevin, is just like, you can apply principles of that like hard work ethic and like the, like consistency and like striving for perfection, but you also have to understand that like it's probably not going to happen.
Yeah.
And if you think it is going to happen, and when it doesn't happen, you're just totally let down. Chances are you're just going to give up.
Yeah.
And that's, I feel like that's what we see, over and over and over again with people who start these fat loss journeys or health journeys, is like they come in too hot and they commit too
Yeah.
much, and they ultimately end up burning themselves out.
Yeah.
And if not ending up where they were, ending up in a worse place than where they were.
Sure.
So
Sure. I heard a really great analogy. There's a lot of points I want to talk on what you were just saying, but just based on that last point, uh, there's a really great analogy I heard recently where motivation is like a rocket taking off to the moon,
yeah,
where, when someone signs up for a program or, starts their health and fitness journey, there's a lot of motivation. Like you're
yeah,
ready to take on the world. It's
yeah,
like the rocket taking off. They use a lot of fuel, right?
yeah,
Fuel is just going. It's trying to lift that rocket up in the sky into the
yeah,
air, and it's going, 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 going super hard. Then eventually, once it gets up there into the sky, into space, I don't really know a lot about rockets, but the analogy will still work.
gets off the ground.
The little butt of it falls off, right? Like
Yeah,
all that fuel that was used drops. And then now what? All right, now we got to use a different fuel, a little bit more sustainable fuel that
yeah,
allows it to get to the moon. And that fuel is more of your why, the meaning behind it, your systems in place. It's not going to be
yeah,
that exciting, super energetic sort of type of fuel, but it's going to be fuel that's like finding your meaning behind it,
yeah,
seeing like going back to why you're doing this, whether it's to be the badass dad that can play with their kids when they're 15, 60 years old. Like what is the reason behind it? And then going back to your systems in place, that internal motivation might not be there, but like you're still showing up, whether it's getting your steps in, doing your workout, you know, shifting from that all or nothing to all or something mindset is a huge difference. But you're talking about something with this individual who is super motivated and
yeah,
they always want to hit the ground running. And I think what's tough for some people is because they always do the same approach, right? They're like, I'm ready to go, crush it, boom, they fall off, regain the weight back, and it's that yo-yo cycle over and
yeah,
over.
yeah,
So now we have to sort of shift that and tell them like, if you want different results, we kind of have to do something different because
mhm,
obviously what data tells us right now, what you have been doing hasn't worked. Yes, it helps you lose weight and make progress, but you're not maintaining it. And so in my opinion, that's not working, right? We want to be able to lose weight, keep it off, live happily ever after.
Yeah.
So to do something different or to get a different outcome, we need a little bit of a different approach. So yes, I know you want to train 6 days a week. Let's train three though. Yes,
Right.
I know you want to eat 800 calories. Let's eat 2000 though.
Yeah.
And let's do that. And really, again, this shift on playing the forever game. And then the last point, I actually heard this in a podcast. I'm a big Boston sports fan, so I listened to Julian Edelman's podcast. But he had Ray Bork, who's this Hall of Fame defenseman that played hockey on the Bruins, incredible player. But he said his perspective when playing hockey was, I'm trying to be perfect and do things perfectly every single day, knowing that I will never be perfect though.
Yeah. Freaking love that.
No. So I actually like that a lot where it's
Yeah.
like, yes, we're trying to do our best and
Yeah.
crush things at 100% and be perfect with it, but knowing I'm not going to be perfect. Like I'm going to make mistakes. Where he was mentioning other guys in the NHL would try to be perfect. And if they weren't perfect, they'd kind of give up on the game or they'd give
Yeah.
up in practice. They just kind of let that go versus making the mistake. All right, whatever, screw it. Like it happened. Let's learn from it. But I'm going to go attack this next shift, this next player, whatever it may be. And those are just some perspectives I think that are big shifts for individuals to make when it comes to achieving this fat loss freedom.
Yeah. Dude, I love that so much. I can't remember who the hockey player was you
Ray
said.
Bork.
Ray Bork.
Yeah.
I'm not a hockey guy. I like watching hockey, but
The
I don't know anything
Utah
about
Hockey Club, dude. They're a team now.
it. Did you hear they named their team now?
What is their name though? I did hear that.
I'm a little disappointed. The Mammoths.
The Mammoths. The Mammoths. I love it.
Trying to play on like the whole ice and like I mean Utah is kind of known for having like prehistoric animals like
Sure.
found here.
Yeah.
And there's a place down in central Utah that they found a
Mhm.
lot of mammoth bones, I guess.
Oh, cool.
Anyways, it's okay, I guess.
Yeah.
It looks
I
pretty
like
cool.
that.
The mascot looks pretty cool,
I
but
like the hockey club name, but we'll go with the
yeah.
Mammoths.
Yeah. Anyways, but what he was saying, that's such a good clarification, man. And I think the way he said it is so awesome because I don't know, I guess I shouldn't like put a blanket statement out there like this, but
No.
I don't know. I don't think it's necessarily healthy to strive to be average as
Yeah.
well. Again, but it's like striving for perfection, knowing you won't achieve it. I think that's a much like healthier mindset. And maybe healthy is not the right word. Maybe just like production, like
Sure.
productive. I think just like from a um, mental perspective, that makes so much sense to me to want to be perfect, but know you won't ever achieve it. I mean, if we want to tie this back into what we started with initially, right? Like
Yeah.
that's the whole purpose of Jesus Christ. Like that's why
Hmm.
he came to this earth. And so we're not going to be perfect really in any aspect of life. And knowing that and understanding that when we do mess up, it's okay. And
Hmm.
we can just keep going still and keep trying our best.
Hmm.
Like, man, that's a Christ-like attribute right there,
Yeah.
and I think an attribute that we all should strive for. So
Yeah, for sure. And I think so much we feel like things are so black and white, right? It's all right. I don't want you to be perfect, but doesn't mean I don't want you to try to be your best.
yeah,
I'm not saying that. And it's same thing with health and fitness. Yeah, I want you to be really healthy,
yeah,
but also like eat the donut once in a while. Like
right,
we're not trying
good,
to be perfect. We're trying to be our best. Like
right,
I mean, I guess I'm conflicting myself, but like I think it's the understanding of it. It's understanding I need to take care of my shit. I need to take care of my nutrition, my fitness, but knowing it's okay once in a while to have the donut.
yeah,
I want to be really, healthy and fit, knowing like I'm gonna have some slip ups and mistakes, but I'm not
yeah,
trying to make those things. You're gonna make those things, but you're not trying to. I
yeah,
have this tattoo. It's as I am.
okay,
And that's a big meaning of it. It's
yeah,
meaning, I always think the way I always relate to is I get pissed, dude, when like people get mad at servers, unless they're ridiculous, but they're like, this food stinks, take it back.
yeah,
It's like, listen, yeah, it may be bad. They may have screwed something up. They're not trying to fuck you over.
yeah,
They're not trying to screw anything up. Like you don't
yeah,
have to project your emotions onto them because you're probably upset about something else. But no one's trying to F up in this world. So the whole theory of as I am is like, take me as I am. I'm doing the best with what I got.
I
I'm not
love
trying
that.
to fuck up. I'm trying to be my best. I'm trying to be great. I'm trying to be awesome. But also I understand like I am going to make mistakes. But I'm not trying to. I just understand I will make them. So it's not this black and white. It's just, hey, yes, we can strive to be perfect, but knowing we're not going to be, and that's
Yeah.
okay. And when
Yeah.
you're not, just learn, grow, and make adjustments as needed, and then go from there.
I would, yeah, one thing I wish I could say about myself is that I remember, or I'm like really into studying research and studies,
Hmm.
and like that I can pull all that knowledge right out of my head at any
That's
time.
awesome.
But truth is like I can't.
Hmm. Yeah,
But I was just gonna say, like, I know for a fact, like there are like studies that would support what you were talking about,
hmm,
eating the donut every now and
yeah,
then, from a mental health perspective, especially.
hmm,
Um, I think that, yeah, man, that's the other thing too, is like maybe another topic or principle of like my coaching that I've kind of shifted my mind on is it's like
sure,
you don't have to eat clean in
yeah,
air quotes, right? You don't
yeah,
have to eat clean all the time. Like you
yeah,
can enjoy stuff. You can enjoy your life. Like
yeah,
when people talk about going on vacations and stuff, I'm like, you better freaking eat some good food. Like
yeah,
I feel like
yeah,
that's 50% of why you go on vacation is
sure,
because you go for the destination, but you also go for the food. Like
yeah. It's
in my
part of the
opinion,
experience.
exactly. And especially if you're traveling somewhere like very culturally different, it's like
Sure,
that is a huge part of why you're going
yeah,
to that location is to,
yeah,
indulge in the culture a little bit and enjoy yourself. So anyways,
yeah,
it's funny because like yesterday I started a little cut, like I'm doing a
yep,
little cut. And not because I'm unhappy with like how I look or because I feel like I need to lose some body fat. Um, but if I'm being totally honest, it's more so just to kind of help me kind of refocus a little
yeah,
bit. I feel like
hmm,
I'm just at this point right now in a lot of aspects of my life where I've just kind of gotten a little lazy with certain things.
yeah,
And I'm using this cut as a way for me to kind of just dive back in. But it's like the thought of doing this cut, and I'm only doing it for like 4 or 5 weeks.
sure,
But the thought of like not being able to just like eat a donut when I want to eat a donut, having to be more mindful of like how
sure,
many calories I'm
yep,
consuming. I'm like, man, I can do this. Like I know I can do this, but like I do not want to do this any
yeah,
longer than I have to.
yeah,
Um, and so again, just tying it all back together, man, it's like enjoy your life a little bit. Enjoy some of the
sure,
foods you like. And know that you're not going to be perfect. Know that like yeah, you will mess up, but the other thing I feel like I've kind of told my clients a lot is like the best indicator of somebody who can be successful on a health
mm,
journey is someone who can get back to the day-to-day things that we're
hmm,
doing quicker than other
yeah,
people. Like when you go on vacation, like I said,
yeah,
I mean, no, I don't want you to go and just overindulge, like and make yourself sick, but I want you to go and enjoy it.
yeah,
But the quicker you can come back and just get back to your day-to-day routine
yeah,
of getting to the gym, getting your steps in, focusing primarily on like whole foods, like getting
hmm,
good, high quality foods in your diet mostly. Um, those are the people that are going to make long
yeah,
lasting changes.
yep.
Not the ones who can do it for a short period of time and then whatever.
Yeah, for sure. Even to add to that, that's one thing I'll always say when someone's like, "All right, I'm going on a trip. What should I do? All this stuff." And I'll say the number one most important thing is we're gonna stay on track, keep doing your thing beforehand, and then no matter what, we're gonna get right back on track when you get back,
Yeah,
right? Whether it's 3 days, 5 days, a whole week, because the last 3 months plus the next 3 months coming up are more important than those 5 days, 7 days.
exactly.
Now, if we want to create some guidance during the trip where it's like, yeah, enjoy yourself, but be mindful of things, cool, we'll talk about that. But like what's more important, what's going to make the bigger change is what's happening beforehand, what's going to happen right after, because that 1 week, 5 days is going to be 2% of your time, you
Right.
know. So yeah, I think it's always a funny thing talking about what a healthy diet is because a healthy diet includes all foods,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I always called it the Goldilocks zone of what's the just right amount of enjoying yourself, but yet we're taking care of business. Because I don't know if we talked about this on your podcast or just on one of our calls when we met, but I see the other side of unhealthy relationships with food from a leaner person. And it's all a mental control, what it feels
Mhm.
like. And maybe it's a lack of better way of putting it, but it seems people just feel sort of emotionally controlled with food in a sense, where, we might work with someone who needs to lose 50 pounds, 20 pounds, 100 pounds. And their relationship with food is they'll have the donut, then they'll have 12 more because they feel guilty because they had it and they feel like they messed up. So that might as
Yeah.
well keep that party going. Dude, what I see here is San Diego's very fit community. It's not that everyone's fit, but like the area I am, the people are active and whatnot. But you'll see the person eat the donut and then go on the Stairmaster for an hour. Well, now you're creating this negative relationship because now you feel like you have to punish yourself for eating a donut because you felt like you did something wrong. So now there's this negative connotation with it where you didn't do anything wrong. You ate a donut,
Okay.
like just move on in life.
So
So
so you're saying they went on the Stairmaster because they ate the donut.
yes, exactly. So they
Gotcha.
punish themselves, right? They have to do the workout now because they have a hard time just enjoying life for a moment. So
Yeah.
it's been so interesting living here
Yeah,
where
man.
we see one side, here's a little bit the other side, but it's the same issue. It's the same
Yeah.
challenge, right? It's that relationship with food that they eat because they feel like they did something wrong and that's their punishment or their sense of relief. And then they punish themselves by doing cardio or going to the gym or maybe even starving themselves. They'll both maybe starve themselves because of it.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. It is interesting to see the other side of the spectrum.
It is, man. It is. And that's like both sides. I don't know. I'm trying to like use my words kind of carefully. I don't know.
Sure.
I'm not super worried about offending anybody
Yeah.
because if you get offended by what I'm saying, I guess
It's
that's
their
on you.
problem.
But just it's just like it genuinely makes me kind of like sad though, man. Like I
Yeah.
hate that people feel that way. Oh, like if I could even just help even just somebody in the littlest way, like I
Sure.
would do it. Like and so anyways, I think that's a great point though, pointing
Mhm.
out the opposite side as well and getting too extreme and too carried away with it.
Hmm.
I have a client who I was talking to one time and it's funny because obviously different people are going to go at different speeds. Like
Yep.
different people are able to incorporate or do things
Yep.
faster than others, and some people just are okay with going a little bit slower. And um, is actually my sister. She's one of my clients and
Cool.
my sister. I was just talking to her one day just about like food quality. She tends to just really enjoy treats.
Hmm.
And she eats good meals, but then like in between meals, she's like eating treats all the
Sure.
time. And and so we were just kind of trying to brainstorm a little bit, like how do we enjoy the treats without overdoing it? And as we talked more and more, she was just like, this feels way too restrictive. She's like,
Yeah.
I don't want to be restricted.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's fair. That's fine. I think that, at that point, you just got to understand though, like there is a cost like
Hmm.
for that. Um, Somebody who wants to eat, again, air quotes, clean all the time and can do that, like good on them.
Hmm.
I think that's the other thing about this is like there is I kind of keep just going back to like things that I've changed my mind on a little bit.
Yeah.
There is no like one approach fixes all. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? That's the other thing that I'm realizing more and more and more
Yeah.
is like it is going to be different for almost every person.
Hmm.
Like, and figuring out and helping people understand, how they function and how their brain works and what's going to be
Yeah.
best for them, to maybe be able to prioritize higher quality foods more of the
Hmm.
time than they have in the past. It's like it's going to be a different approach for each person.
Yeah.
And that's the other part of it that I've kind of shifted on and also enjoy, man. Like
Hmm.
that's what makes honestly, like when you view this from like a job perspective, like this is what we
Yeah.
do for work, I feel super fortunate to be able to do
Yeah.
this because it's my passion, it's what I love, and I love seeing other people progress and benefit. Um, but I mean, it is still work sometimes,
Yeah, for
and it
sure.
can get a little mundane at times, and so really trying to find those differences between individuals is what keeps it kind
Yeah.
of fun and exciting for me, you know? Um, and also helps me remember like there is no cookie cutter.
No.
There isn't.
Yeah.
And so having that mindset as well as both a coach and a client, as
Yeah.
an everyday person, it's like just because somebody, did something like the carnivore diet or something
Yeah.
like that and got awesome results, like again, I don't know. Anyways, because they
Initially.
did it, that doesn't
Yeah.
mean you have to do it as well.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't
And
know.
it's one of those things that's like, yes, they got results right now, but
Yeah.
it's like what's going to happen in a year, which kudos to them if they keep it. That's great.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's this whole idea is like, yes, we do have principles. Like
Yeah.
there are things, calories, protein, workouts, all that stuff. We have our principles, and then we have you, right? But how we get you into those principles, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like that's what we got to figure out. That's why we're
Yeah.
working together. That's why,
Exactly.
I think it's like 95% of people will spend their life dieting. It's I think the average diet per year is like 2 to 3 diets, different diets per year they'll try, and people tend to try 17 plus diets in their lifetime. It's like ridiculous stats.
Yeah. It's
But I
crazy.
think it's because we're trying all these different things that just don't maybe fit your lifestyle. Or maybe there's a deeper thing that need to be healed, right? There could be something that's going on deeper where food is actually the solution to another problem. And it's like, okay, obviously as coaches, we stretch our lanes, I think, in a good manner, but like sometimes we have to dive into that, be like, what's going on? Is it a relationship thing? Is it a job thing? Is it, a mindset thing? Like what's kind of going on at maybe a deeper level that this is just the solution for you to have some sense. Like I have a client, I'd say maybe early on where we were kind of challenged. Like we were trying to figure out what's going on and maybe why they're eating and having a hard time with it and they're doing the things, but also, maybe progress was lacking. And then we finally just hop on the call and got into an open conversation where getting into it, what I realized was they were adopted, they were abused as a kid, there were other personal stuff going on,
Yeah.
stressful job. They work with like very troubled kids. So the one constant, the one thing that's always been safe and good for her is food. Like in her entire life. And she's 40 plus years old. So it's all right. Me saying, let's take these things away, it's like, all right, now she feels she has nothing. And that's scary. So it's all right. Now we have to have at least a good understanding, like both of us together, like, hey, this is what's happening. Like, this makes a lot of sense. So,
Yeah.
yeah, you doing the carnivore or keto diet or intermittent fasting isn't going to fix that deeper problem. And that's
Yeah.
okay. But, we'll do some things from a fitness and training standpoint that hopefully it can build some habits and get you more comfortable. But there's obviously some deeper things that have to be done. And sometimes, as a coach, you'll be like, hey, it's not a bad idea to talk to someone because this could change your life in a good way. Um, so yeah, it is very much agree with you there where it's nothing's really cookie cutter. We got to find the recipe that sort of works for that individual. Like my Kevin's workout and nutrition game plan is not going to work out for Luke,
Yeah.
and vice versa. Even though
Yeah.
I know we're meatheads at heart, so it probably would, but but no, for the that idea. But reality is like my nutrition might be different than yours, and that's
Right.
okay. Like
Right.
as long as we're still hitting our principles just differently, whatever, man, do your
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
So a couple more questions because I know you got to bounce soon. But as a dad, busy dad,
Oh
right?
yeah.
3 kids, life's crazy. Business owner as well. Time is pretty valuable, I'm sure. It's pretty your schedule's pretty packed up. But for you, and I see some of your content behind this as well, and I like it a lot. So I just want you to share as a busy dad, helping other busy individuals who maybe have a hard time finding time to work out. Like, what do you usually suggest? What works for you? What do you usually suggest for them?
Huh. I mean, that is a great question. And I mean, just kind of feeding off of what we just were talking about, I
Sure.
know there is no one approach for every person. Um,
Hmm.
I mean, I think the phrase that I want to use, and this is a phrase I know my clients are sick of me hearing, is like we do what we can with what we can. We
Yep.
control what we can control. And so again, just coming back to some basic principles and understanding, understand this. You do not have to go to the gym 5, 6, 7 days a week.
Yeah.
Like first and foremost, like for some reason, like when we think about fitness and health, for some reason we think we have to do something every single day.
Hmm.
We have to get in the gym every single day. And really, I mean, getting in the gym 2 to 3 times a week can provide some really awesome benefits and really awesome results.
Absolutely.
Especially from like a busy parent or dad's perspective, working, a full-time job on top of trying to be a good dad for your kids.
Hmm.
It's like you probably don't have much energy to give, but I think one of the first things most of my clients will say is they notice as soon as they start working out just a few times a week is they notice an increase of energy.
Hmm.
And so I think trying to almost like what's that phrase? Like reverse, like look at
Re
things from
reverse engineer.
yeah,
Yeah,
reverse
yeah.
engineer. Sorry, I couldn't think of it. But it's almost like reverse engineer it a little bit, It's like if you want some of these benefits, like here's what we have to do. And so kind of helping them understand that the efforts they're going to put in, like just no matter how small they are in the beginning, are going to pay dividends.
Yeah.
I think also understanding that like, yes, I think getting in the gym is I mean, for me personally, one of my favorite forms of exercise,
Sure.
and I do believe something that everybody should be doing some form of resistance training. But also once again, understanding that when you start, you don't have to like it doesn't have to be that right out the gate. It's like let's just look at your overall activity levels to begin with. How many steps are you getting a day? Like could we make some improvements there first? And again, notice some benefits and values that come from that, which could potentially lead to getting a little bit more well being set up better to then get in the gym and do like a longer workout, 45 minutes to an hour workout.
Hmm.
Um, Kind of going on like if you do lack the time though, sorry, I kind of that was like, anyways, I was looking at it from like a different
No, I get what
perspective.
you're saying. I think a lot of us, when we think we have to start the gym, I can't train 5, 6 days a
Right,
week. So, like,
right,
what? I'm not even going to bother. It's that all or
right.
nothing thinking. But knowing you can get some phenomenal results training 2 to 3 times a week.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, first and foremost, you feel like you don't have time. Well, let's just get realistic first. You don't have to be in the gym 6 to 7 hours a week. It's
Hmm.
like you can cut that down to 2 to 3 hours a week and still get good benefits. So that's kind of where it plays into the time thing in a roundabout sort of way. I
Yeah.
got there eventually. But as far as like making it happen still at that point, I mean, look, like this is kind of where like a little bit of the tough love, like kind of dig
Yeah.
deep, kind of push a little bit harder, probably comes in a little bit. It's like, what time are you going to bed? What time are you waking up? How are you spending your time? Like, because I know your kids go to bed, and it's like, then what are you doing?
Hmm.
Um, could you be working out, when they're in bed? And I know, like, I have a spouse too, and that's the
Hmm.
time that I love spending with her. So
Sure.
again, it's like you have to look at your schedule and you have to get real with yourself. This is
Yeah.
again where a little bit of the tough love comes in. It's like people say they don't have time. That to me, 100% is an excuse.
Uh-huh.
Um, and I know that everybody's schedule are different, but like I work with a pilot, okay, and he's literally away from his home some days, some weeks, 5 days out of 7 days, like he's
Yeah.
gone.
Yeah.
So he's doing whatever he can to get in a hotel gym in like this hour window that he has before he has to catch another flight.
Yep.
And he's taking pre-made meals with him on these
Mhm.
business trips. Like, guys, like he's doing everything he possibly can. So again, you telling me you don't have time, I'm like, wake up an hour earlier,
Yep.
you know? Um,
Sacrifice the sleep if you have to.
yes,
It's worth
go
it.
go to the gym before you go to bed. Like you've just got to figure it out for yourself. That's
Yeah.
kind of where what it boils down to for me.
Yeah. 100%. What comes to mind for me is there's trade-offs.
Yeah,
There's no
yep,
solutions, there's only trade-offs.
exactly.
You're
Yeah,
going
that's
to
the
choose
famous
the
famous
extra.
Kevin phrase.
Yeah, it's not mine, but I'll take credit for it.
You introduced it to me, so you
Yeah.
get
But
credit.
it's so true because yes, 2 to 3 times a week. I think sacrificing an hour of sleep is worth it, and you can get your normal, 8 hour sleeps the other night. I think that's a trade-off that's going to push the needle more.
Yep.
This is again, I think we've talked about this a bit before, but it always comes back to your identity. Is like, how are you labeling yourself? You're like, oh, I'm
Yeah.
not a morning person. I'm not
Yep.
this. I just don't have the
Exactly.
time. Well, it's like, yeah, you're right. Like whether you think you can or you can't, like you're right. But if I said this, I'm going to give you $1 million to wake up at 5 a.m. to go to the gym twice a week for the next 6 months. You're probably going to wake up at
Yeah.
5 a.m. to go to the gym. So there's
Absolutely.
probably a little bit more meaning to it. Again, we go back to maybe finding a deeper why. Why are we doing this?
Exactly.
but you can do it. That's, it's just you're telling yourself you can and you're labeling it, which is making it like a staple, but that's just not true. It is somewhat of an excuse. Not to say it's not valid or unvalid and your feelings aren't valid or unvalid. It's just one of those things that like you could, right? It's not like there's a gun to your head, so anything bad's gonna happen, but like you could, like just straight up you
Yeah.
could do it.
Yeah.
Anyways, last quick two questions here because I know you got to scoot.
Well, dude, I was gonna say like no sweat. Like
Yeah.
we're good.
I was, well, first, I love this conversation.
I do
Like,
too.
I'm having such a good time right now, and it's obviously firing me up. But dude, you're so insightful, so smart. Again, you're such like a great person that I'm just enjoying this conversation that I'm like looking at the time. I'm like, I gotta squeeze in some more questions because I want to
Dude,
ask him about this or that. Um,
I
but
appreciate it.
but last two questions. What is one thing you would tell someone who is starting their own journey, their own weight
Yeah.
loss journey, only fat loss journey, health journey?
Yeah. I mean, I think it kind of goes back to some of the things we've already talked about today a little bit. And I don't know if I can just like sum it up into like one thing, but it's like understand a couple of things. Progress will happen at different speeds at different times.
Hmm.
Um, when you get started, use the motivation you have to kind of boost you off the ground, like you were given with the rocket analogy.
Hmm.
Use that motivation in the beginning, but realize that motivation will wear off
Hmm.
and you got to just push through.
Hmm.
Like there's going to be those times where you don't want to like get up and go to the gym. You don't want to, spend a little bit of extra time to make a meal versus just going to the drive-through. Like there's going to be all those times, but um, just know that like, Cal, let's see if I have this phrase like generally in my head, but I don't know if I can put it into words. The overall, the when you sum up all of your efforts, the majority of your efforts are what's going to pay off in the end.
Hmm.
So as long as you're more often than not getting to the gym, you're headed in the right direction.
Hmm.
As long as you're more often than not making the more high quality food choices, you're headed in the right
Yep.
direction. Um, Work hard, but also have patience and understanding.
Yeah. Yep. Strive to be perfect, but understand you ain't gonna be perfect.
Love it. Yep,
That's
exactly.
that's awesome. And then last question here. So I'm leaning to try and not make this non-fitness related for yourself, but it can be. I'll give you
Okay.
permission for it to be.
Okay.
But I want you to give your younger self one piece of advice. Like, what is one thing you want to tell your younger self if you just walked by him on the street today?
Hmm. Um, oh, dude, I don't know what it is about this conversation. You've made me cry a couple times.
That's good.
Um,
Dude, I think about this and I just, for me, like I can feel like my eyes and just like my chest get tight and just knowing like your little self and for me it's just I know what was challenged and like where I am today. Um it's tough because you just want to protect them. Like think about your boys, like you would die for them.
oh,
Like
dude.
you would do anything for them. And it's probably the same thing if you saw your little self too. It's like, dude, I just want to protect you.
Yeah.
So I understand why it's so emotional.
Um, yeah, thank you. I think one piece of advice I would give myself is like, don't worry about what other people think of you.
Yeah.
I feel like several of the things that I've done in my life, like, were strictly because I was worried what other people would think.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, I mean, you mentioned just like looking back, like I can just like envision myself, doing some of these things that I did just because that's what I was supposed to do.
Yep.
And ultimately, I feel like there was no benefit and no payout for me. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? I feel like it was time wasted, not pursuing the things that I actually wanted to pursue, um, versus pursuing something for a pat on the back from somebody else.
Yeah.
Um, so it's just funny. It is because I feel like that exact same. I feel like my chest and just like everything just gets tight, and I'm just like, golly, man,
Yeah.
what I want to give.
Yeah.
So it's interesting because I guess I kind of want to end it the same way I started it, Kevin. It's
Yep.
like God is the only one who truly knows who you are.
Sure.
I mean, I have a wife, and I feel like we know each other pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
but God is the only one who will ever know my full true intentions.
Mm-hmm.
And he's the only one that sees me for who I am,
Yeah.
completely and entirely.
Yeah. Yeah.
So forget about what everybody else thinks
Yeah.
and do and pursue, what's gonna bring you the most happiness and most joy, because the happiest, most joyful version of yourself is the best version of yourself for yourself, as well as for your wife, for your kids, for your family, for your friends, for
Mm-hmm.
everybody around you, for your work colleagues, like
Yeah.
everybody around you, like benefits from you being the happiest, best version of yourself. And I
Absolutely.
think a big part of that comes from not worrying about what other people think of you. So,
Dude, well said. Absolutely beautiful, man. I appreciate it. Dude, how can people get in contact with you, find you? I know you have a podcast as well. Share all your stuff.
okay. Yeah, absolutely, man. I appreciate it. Luke Madsen Fit on Instagram is, I mean, that's definitely where I'm the most active when it comes to social media. I mean, I have Facebook as well. I don't know if anybody, it's funny.
We're
I
too
feel
old
like
for Facebook.
there's a demographic of people who, it's funny, man. Like for some reason, that's where I meet a lot of my clients is Facebook.
Yeah,
Like 50%.
sure.
And I don't even get on there much. I just all my posts go from Instagram to Facebook, and
Yeah,
then I'll just get random messages from people. And I'm like,
yeah.
sweet, man, let's do this. So Luke Matson Fit on Instagram, the MFC Approach podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcast, YouTube. But yeah, that's pretty much it, man. So for sure go if you like listening to Kevin's voice, go listen to that last episode of mine. Well, it just came out on Wednesday actually. So
Sweet. Awesome.
the 11th. I don't know when this is gonna go up.
Yeah,
So
this will probably be up next week. But
cool. Awesome.
dude, I don't want to end this conversation, so we'll have to hop on another podcast at some
Yeah,
point again. Like I have
sounds good.
a list of questions. I think I have like 30 questions. We got through like four, but that's great. It was just great conversation. So, like I said,
It
I think
was.
this might have been one of my favorite podcasts,
No,
at
thank
least
you.
in a while. So, thank you so much, dude. Like my love for you is strong. My appreciation for you is strong. I know we'll be in touch and everything and whatnot, but thank you so much for being on here and sharing a lot about yourself and
Yeah.
your philosophies behind coaching.
Same, dude. Thank you so much. Like I feel the same way, man. So feeling is mutual.
Awesome, man. Well, we'll talk soon. What is going on, guys? Thank you so much for tuning back in or tuning into the episode one take show to close this episode out. But thank you so much for tuning into that episode. I really enjoyed my conversation with Luke there. And something that really just always gets me going is when you can have a true, authentic, just vulnerable conversation and just, feel each other's emotion. I do think it says a lot about growing a relationship, growing a connection with someone. So thank you so much, Luke, for joining in on this on the podcast. And I hope you guys were able to find some valuable takeaways there. But as always, I appreciate you guys. If you really enjoyed that podcast as much as I did, leave it a good old 5-star review, leave it a written review, share it with a friend. I think that one could definitely help a lot of individuals. But until next time, I believe in you. Make sure you go eat that damn donut, and we will talk soon. Cheers.